How do we understand the budgeting process for new data center projects? Understanding the budgeting process for new data center projects. Well, there's pattern recognition that will for sure come up across different companies that are of a similar size and a similar kind of location and a similar kind of business model. But understand that a lot of companies have different budgeting processes and can for sure know that at some point it's going to hit like a CFO or a finance team, probably in operations, depending on the size of the company. The CEO is probably involved in some way, shape, or form. But the reality is, if you're trying to get in those early conversations to be top of mind when they're thinking about budgeting, one of the best things that you can do for your ideal client profile, for your target list of companies, is to develop an educational resource that helps those potential clients think through how they go through the budgeting process. It could be an ebook, it could be a downloadable template, it could be an interactive tool on your website, it could be a webinar. So essentially, if you don't have that expertise internally, consider engaging with a consultant that can help you build that. Consider doing a series of interviews or podcast interviews to help get that skill set. But think about how you flesh out who is on the decision committee that goes into budgeting for new data center projects. For sure, it is a technology executive. It's going to be a finance executive. It's probably somebody that ultimately would take over facilities. If your company has anyone in a construction role or real estate role, they're in on that conversation. There's probably some site selection expertise that comes into play as well. And again, all of this is going to, the individual roles, individual functions, and how many different hats a single person will wear is very highly dependent on the company size. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to get in early and get in there often and be top of mind, so you're seen as the experts on helping to figure all of this stuff out, it can be very, very worthwhile to invest in building an educational resource and getting that in front of those target companies. And once you get that, once you develop the resource, getting it in front of the target companies, sure, is a second part of the job. But like, for example, your buyer persona research will likely validate that most of the people you're trying to influence are on LinkedIn on a fairly regular basis. So, whether it's LinkedIn Campaign Manager, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or the two things together, there's a lot of creative ways to get that messaging in front of the right people that will give you the inside track on that particular company's budgeting process. Because as much as you see the pattern recognition, it's all culture. It's all company culture. It all depends on alignment. It depends on their stage of growth. It depends on the venture or private equity, whoever is on the ownership or in the board role, board of directors role in that company. But if you want to be in on those conversations, I'd encourage you to think about using content and events as conversation starters.